When we approach a new piece, one of the things that we need to do is a lot of work away from the piano, and a lot of pianists miss this step, and this is why often their practice isn't producing the results that they want. If you think about something, just say you're going to decorate your house and the walls are really dirty, the paint's peeling off, you've got chips in your woodwork. Are you just going to slap some paint on top of that and hope it looks great? Might look all right on the surface, but put to the test, that's not going to last very long. It's not going to give you the polished, finished effect that you want. Now, learning a new piece of the piano is exactly the same. The first thing I do when I get a score is I look at the overall structure. So I try to work out the form and the structure of the music. And if you don't know how to do this, but you have a teacher, your teacher will show you how to do this. If you don't have a teacher, look out for future videos when I talk about how we do this. So we have our score, we've worked out the form, we've worked out the structure, we've spotted the patterns before we even touch a note on the piano. This is what we call mental practice. You can do it on the train, you can do it on a plane. There's a very famous story, and I don't remember which pianist it is about, but he had to stand in for a concerto for another pianist who was very sick, and he didn't know this concerto, and he learnt it all on the plane. Now, obviously, he was a very accomplished pianist, and I wouldn't imagine that you could learn a concerto on a plane if you are an intermediate level pianist, and it would be a challenge for a lot of people. But the principle is the same. You can take your new piece. So when people say, oh, I'm going on holiday, I'm not going to have any time to practice. Okay, but you can take your score with you. And if you have 10 minutes in a day, you could just sit down with a cup of coffee. You could just look at that score. It can be on your iPad, it can be on your phone, probably better on an iPad, the screen's bigger. You can photocopy it and take it with you if you don't want to lug loads of heavy books on the plane or on the train. There isn't really any excuse. You can sit and do this. And I actually do this with my students when they say, but I've broken my arm or I've hurt my finger. Okay, that's great. We'll do some analysis today. It's not great, but you know, there are lots of things we can still do. So there's so much work we can and should do away from the piano before we touch a single note. We need to think about, what's this music saying? What's the message? What's the story I'm telling? What's the picture I'm painting? Where are the scale patterns, the thirds? Where have I got huge leaps? Where am I going to have to use some pedal? All of these things, and I'm going to do a video sort of demonstrating this as well. But today I just wanted to talk about this principle and this myth that people say practice makes perfect. Unfortunately, it doesn't. And we can do so much away from the piano, which will help our effective practice. So there's so much in the preparation. The second thing I do when I get my score is the fingers. Now, by that, I don't write all the fingerings in, not every single one, because I don't need to. Nobody should need to do that, because that's like playing by numbers. But there are some essential ones where we've got repeated patterns, where it's a very, very tricky passage. You will want to do that initially, because you will want to make sure you're being consistent. And I'm going back to the previous video on practice makes perfect or not, because when you are just repeating a pattern and you're using different fingers every time, just imagine what you're doing to your brain. You're giving it very, very mixed messages. Do it this way, do it that way. No, let's use this finger. So I see it when I'm watching people play. I see the finger hesitate because it's not sure. You've disturbed that connection. Whereas if you do your prep, if you write in what you need to write in, if you practice that, that's a bit to home in on and practice. You know, the pattern, that difficult passage, getting those fingers consistent, lay that foundation down. Also look for the tricky bits, all the bits that you know will be tricky for you. Jump in there, deal with those first. You don't have to start at the beginning. Quite often a piece of music will have very defined different sections. Other times almost every phrase introduces something new. So you can and should be able to start anywhere, particularly when you're learning it. And yes, of course, we want to practice it in sequence as well. But when you do that, please, please, please do it slowly. And when I say slowly, it usually means 10 times slower than students think. Because students think slow, I don't know, the idea of slow just seems really alien to a lot of people in this very fast-paced world. Slow, 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 slow. Initially, you will have to practice it at speed. Of course you will, for the coordination. But if you can't do it slow, how are you going to do it fast? And if you're trying to do it fast and you're tripping up, guess what you're doing? You are laying down the wrong patterns. You're myelinating the wrong bits of your copper wire, if you like, or just call it that for now. Because I'm not a scientist, I'm a pianist, but I do understand the science behind this. So it's proven, it's been researched, it's proven in every lesson I have. I know already those that have done that prep and those that haven't. It's blatantly obvious, your fingers give you away. So those wavering hesitations, and of course, if you've got these constant hesitations, then you can't build up the other essential thing, which is a steady pulse. So now, not only have you got some wrong patterns going on, but you've also misheard the pulse. And if you mishear the pulse and don't stick to the designated pulse, what has now happened is that your brain has now misheard the rhythm, because if your pulse is out, your rhythm's out. So do you see? This is why people struggle and don't understand why is my practice not getting better? I practiced for an hour on that piece. I played it through 20 times. This is why. So I'm setting up some practice clinics live online, and the link will be below. Please do click and join us if you'd like to. The spaces are really limited, they're only 20. You can bring me a passage of music and you can ask me questions about how you should practice this effectively. Bring me your most difficult bit, bring me your struggles, don't bring me your easy parts, because you can do those on your own, and I love a challenge. So do join me if you think that it could help you.